Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, often reviewing rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have something from Compass Box, not that rare, but it's new, Nectarosity. It is a blended scotch. It is 46%. It is non-chilled filtered, natural color. Over here in Germany, I'm paying about 48 euros for this bottle. Now, did you know Compass Box has actually reduced their core range down to just 4 products? So we have now the good old peat monster that's been there for a very, very long time. We have then the Orchard House, which I have never been particularly fond of, but many other people love it. For example, Roy and other whiskey tubers. Then we have the Crimson Casks. I'll be doing a video about that in a second. And now we have here the Nectarosity. Now, Nectarosity is a fantasy world that was made up here by Compass Box. John Glazer's out of the picture. All right, so he basically sold off his company here to Calum Capital back in 2022. He stayed around a little bit for a year, but ever since then, there's been this the new kid on the block, James Saxon. I think he's been at the company maybe 6 years plus. He's the person now responsible for everything that's going on in Compass Box. He's the so-called lead whiskey maker. Now, I'm going to share my screen here because it's very, very difficult for me to just verbalize what's going on with this Compass Box. Let me just pour a tiny little bit over here. All right, so every single time Compass Box actually creates a PDF, which I'm very thankful for, about each and every whiskey that they bring out. So Nectarosity. So great pastry chefs are fueled by creativity and generosity, constantly enhancing life's sweet pleasures. So are we. We wanted a new word for this irresistible urge, and that word is now nectarosity. So zesty with honey, poached pears, nectarine, lychees, then juicy apricots and pineapple excite the palate. Toffee, vanilla, and butterscotch sauce follow with a lasting flavor of cinnamon bun. Doesn't that sound great? Let's see if the whiskey delivers or not. Serving recommendations, I laugh here. Nectarosity will bring an irresistible dynamism everywhere it goes, from classic cocktails to Boilermakers. Yay. Partner with a dry Pilsner to create a soft center of fruity caramel notes. Really? All right, so 46% ABV, as I mentioned, blended Scotch whiskey, natural color, and non-chilled filtered. Now, this is what I'm really going for. Have you ever seen the wheel? It's like a tree. You have to count the rings, and you know how old the whiskey is. So we're going to do that here a little bit. Not every single time, but just a little bit. So let's go up to the top right-hand corner. The base of this whiskey is 15.1% Cameronbridge whiskey. I could count the rings here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12-year-old, if I got that right, first fill bourbon barrel. Over here, we have something that's, I think, 17 years. No, it's 18 years old, the Cameronbridge Distillery first fill bourbon. And we have over here, actually, a 20-year-old. I counted it in my German video, 2.4%. And here, if this is 18, 17, 16, so 15-year-old Cameronbridge first fill barrel with 1.1%. I'm assuming that this is an entire barrel, 1.1 and 1.2. And so 2.4 would be 2 barrels. And here this would be 6. Does it work out? 7, maybe even 7 barrels. And they just put these into that mix. All right. Now, the Girvan distillery also gave whiskey. And it was a refill hogshead. Now, this word I know, but what's after that I never have heard of before, but I guess it's right. It's an ex-virgin custom American oak barrel and 10.5% ABV. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old whiskey from Girvan. Now, a hogshead used to be that we would actually take basically 5 American bourbon barrels, take the staves and make 4 hogsheads. So we take a 200 and turn it into 250-liter barrel, a little bit bigger, more surface area contact or less surface area contact than a barrel. Good to age in, good to maneuver still and move around. And a lot of the warehouses were set up for that. So what happens if it's not a bourbon barrel? So it's a virgin custom American oak barrel that has been refilled and it has 250 liters. So therefore it's a hogshead. I think that's just crazy. All right, here we have the Girvan distillery, a little bit older. It's at 5.4% single grain. And then we move over to Clynelish. So we have a first fill bourbon barrels, 12.1%. We have from Balmenach. That was 20. This is 18 years of age. There's 18-year-old Balmenach in there, 7.1%. We have the Clynelish Distillery, a second fill virgin custom American oak barrel, also very interesting. Also, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of age. What happens if you have an American oak barrel and it did not have bourbon in it? What do you call it? You can't call it an ex-bourbon barrel. You call it a second fill virgin custom American oak barrel. I mean, this is crazy. It's not wrong, but hey, it's, oh, wow. It just blew my mind the first time I actually read that and thought about it. All right, so Linkwood, yummy. First refill, sherry Puncheon, and here Linkwood, we actually have a first fill Palo Cortado sherry seasoned, but 22.6% of that. Fairly young. So as I said here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the Clynelish is the youngest whiskey, I think. So it's a 7-year-old whiskey that we have here. Now I'm all in favor of transparency, and Compass Box has figured out ways to work around the Scotch Whisky Association and European regulations about only being able to name the youngest whiskey in their whiskey, in their blend. And I think that tree is I'm going to say not the best and not the most intuitive way of doing it, but it's one way of doing it that they've chosen to use, and people have gotten used to it. I just find it, I'm going to use the word amusing, that this one bottling has here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different types of whiskey in it. Just use the word types, from age, from barrels, from single malt, or whatever. Now, I do a lot of whiskey fairs over here, and everyone comes over and says, "Do you have a single malt?" I said, "No, I don't." I asked them, "Do you know what single malt is?" They say, "Hey, yeah, of course. It means Scottish whiskey." I said, "No." I laugh a little bit. It means it has to, single malt is not exclusive to Scotland, but the rules in Scotland of single malt are 100% malted barley, 1 distillery, and on pot stills distilled. It doesn't have to be twice. It can be triple distilled, it can be double distilled, it can be quadruple distilled. Doesn't matter. It has to be distilled on pot stills. No column stills allowed. Anything that does not match those three criteria are automatically grain whiskey. So what is blended Scotch? We take grain whiskey, we take single malt, boom, blended Scotch. We take 2 single malts, boom, blended malt. We take 2 grains, boom, blended grain. And we have single malt, single grain. So there's 5 categories of whiskey in Scotland. That's it. Basically, there's 2 types of whiskeys, but 5 categories. Depends on how we mix them and combine them together. And this has grain and malt mixed. So what am I going to compare it to? As I said, 48 euros. This Chivas Legal 18 has an age statement. It is only 40%, and it has colored, and it has been chill filtered, and it costs less than 60 euros over here. So 10 euros more for an age statement. Now, Chivas Legal will probably, so Pernod Ricard will never give us the exact composition of their Chivas Legal. We will not have that transparency. I have always, for the last 10 years now, I've always enjoyed a good Chivas Legal 18. Roy from Aquavite has something called the Permashelf. what bottle is always on your shelf? So a red breast is always on my shelf. A green spot is always on my shelf. A Knob Creek is always on my shelf. An Eagle Rare is always on my shelf. And okay, Glen 12 is always on my shelf. And Chivas Legal 18 is always on my shelf. I thoroughly enjoy this whiskey. When it's gone, I'm going to buy a new one and keep it on the shelf, even though it's more expensive than it used to be. I used to be able to get it for under 40 euros, and I was under 50 euros. Now we're under 60 euros. That's whiskey inflation for you in 10 years, crazy as it is. But this is, I like this. On the palate, but the aftertaste, that finish is really what I've always enjoyed in here. And I'm fairly certain there's a little bit of whiskey in there, even older than that 18 years. The youngest whiskey here is 18 years. The youngest whiskey here is 6 or 7. So, on the nose. I'm going to use the phrase "nothing to write home about." This is okay. I get a little bit of virgin. I get a little bit of oak. That whole picture we just saw here of Nectarosity with the panna cotta and with the honey and with all the fruits and all the there's even hard cheese in the background here. No, there's no hard cheese. That was Orchard House. All these confectionaries and the figs and the what else was in there? And the fruits and so on. I just don't get it. It's not there for me. It's an okay whiskey, but it's nothing to write home about. So, is there nectar here? This has more aroma, more flavor. Maybe I'm just maybe smelling the artificial artificial coloring in there, that E150A, but I get more. Cheers. 46% non-chilled filtered, no color added. What we geeks want and what we demand almost. There's a certain youth to this. There's a little bit of that pepper in there. There's a little bit of a honey moment, yeah. Maybe there's figs. Maybe there's a little bit of prunes. Maybe there's a little bit of orange peel there. This is okay. This is a C whiskey. On a bad day, it's a little youthful. There's a little bit of metallic moment towards the end. It could be a C- on a bad day. Value for money, C-. Would I actually go out and buy this bottle again? No, I definitely wouldn't. The Peat Monster is a product that is, from the availability and from the price, it's not a peat monster. Other things have so much more peat flavor, but it's a well created, crafted, peated, blended Scotch. It's something I can recommend. It's a blended malt, not a blended. It's a blended malt Scotch. See, I even get confused here. It's well done, that Peat Monster. As I said, the Orchard House is, I have no idea. I don't like it. I've never liked it. Roy loves it. I don't know. Yeah. And the Crimson Cask, my video will be next. I have no idea what that is. I have to take a look at it. But it does have some nice, interesting, dark red color here. Just as a comparison, the Chivas Legal, 10 euros more for me. On the nose, it's better. On the palate, it's better. The aftertaste is much better. If you say, Jason, the Chivas Legal 18 is so much more expensive where I live. Dalvini 15, yes, it's colored. Yes, it's chill filtered. Yes, it's 43%, I think. So, yep. So the Dalvini here, I can get this at the moment for 34 euros. Age-stated whiskey. I'm sure on Prime Day or a Singles Day or whatever day Amazon has here, you might still be able to get this down around 30 euros. That'd be 16, 17, 18 euros cheaper than this. Almost half that. Almost 50% price reduction. And it tastes better as well. Sorry, Compass Box. You just have not. Sorry, James Saxon. You have just not been able to hit my palate with the Orchard House nor with the Nectarosity. I am looking forward here to the Crimson Casks. So I will see if that's good. And the Peat Monster, if you're looking for a nicely created, well done, blended malt Scotch whiskey with Islay moments without being too overly powerful on the peat side, the Peat Monster is actually a very, very good whiskey. All right, thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing. My question of the day is what is your favorite blended Scotch? My favorite blended Scotch probably going to be Chivas Illegal 18. I like it. I really like it. What's yours favorite? Thank you very much for watching. See you real soon. Whiskey Jason. Bye-bye.